Time to Kill. Justice under pressure. I want to say this clearly before anything else. This film doesn't ask whether a man committed murder. It asks what happens after justice fails early and everything downstream is forced to adapt. In A Time to Kill, the story begins not with a courtroom, but with a rupture. A child is brutalized, not symbolically, not metaphorically, explicitly. And from that moment on, every institution we're taught to trust is already behind the event. The killing of the two men who assaulted Carl Lee's daughter isn't framed as mystery. It's framed as consequence. That doesn't make it right, but the film refuses to let us pretend it came from nowhere. And that's the snowball. Once the system fails at the beginning, everything after becomes reactive. The court tries to narrow the question. This isn't about your daughter. This isn't about the brutal assault. This isn't about the rape, because there's a confession. The assault is not in dispute, and yet the harm done to the black girl is immediately demoted to context. Not centered, not repaired, contained. Justice shrinks the frame until it can function again. Outside the courtroom, reality refuses to cooperate. The Ku Klux Klan doesn't stay symbolic. They don't stay mysterious. They don't stay on the outskirts. They terrorize the town, sometimes hooded, sometimes in plain clothes. They burn a house, they kill a dog, they threaten families, they infiltrate police uniforms, and when the National Guard is deployed, the system finally admits something it never says out loud. We can no longer resolve this with legitimacy, only containment. And that isn't justice, that's triage.
Yes. Oh, ma'am, I'm not really a member of the...
to get a fair trial in Mississippi.
Inside the courtroom, neutrality performs itself away. We're told the jury selection is random, confidential, untouchable, even after we've watched the prosecution openly strategize for an all-white jury.
Should we tell our young, uninformed law clerk the reality of jurisprudence in this county? Evelyn, give me the state file on race statistics. See, Taylor, it's quite simple. This county is 26, 30% black, give or take. Almost every other county is 40, 45, in some cases 70% black. Blacks are more sympathetic to other blacks. If he gets it moved, he has a greater chance of color in the jury box, and we know what that means. But if the trial stays here, it's an all-white jury for sure.
He means without blacks on the jury, Haley hadn't got a chance in hell.
All right, Noose is up for re-elect.
November.
Good. Reach out to our friends in the legislature. Have them call on Judge Noose. We're just going to help him decide to keep this case in Canton.
Even after intimidation floods the town, randomness becomes a story the system tells itself to avoid confronting context. The jury doesn't deliberate so much as a line. Most decide early. One hesitates until social gravity does its work. No threats, no shouting, just pressure.
So we gotta talk about it?
Now, wait a minute. The judge said absolutely not to discuss this case.
Yeah, but that judge ain't stuck here away from his wife and kids. Now, the sooner we start talking about it, the sooner we can get it over with and get home.
Now, look, I want to get out of here just as much as anybody else.
Let's get on with it. Undecided. 4. Guilty. 7. Not guilty. That nigga's dead, yo.
And then a racial slur is dropped, not as an argument, just as an interpretation of justice. It's proof of what this system has been swimming in all along. The film offers escape routes and then deliberately poisons them. The insanity defense appears, then collapses under a compromised expert. Authority fails on its own terms. The law can't metabolize trauma cleanly, so it abandons the path entirely. What remains is story. Then Carl Lee takes the stand.
Do you think 2 men who rape a child should be free in 10 years?
No, sir.
Do you think 2 men who hang a child should be free in 10 years?
No.
Well, what do you think should happen to them? What would be a fair sentence?
Objection,
do you think
Your
they deserve to die, Mr.
Your
Haley?
Honor.
Answer the
Mr.
question.
Buckley.
Carly,
Yes, they
don't answer
deserve
that
to
question.
die.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
The prosecution smiles. Now the narrative fits. Anger becomes evidence. Pain becomes disqualification. Certainty becomes proof of guilt. Then something rare happens. A deputy, a white man, injured, missing part of his leg, testifies. He acknowledges the harm. He doesn't deny the wound, and still he refuses vengeance.
Deputy Looney, do you think Carl Lee shooting you was intentional?
No, sir. It was an accident.
Do you think he should be punished for shooting you?
No, sir. I hold no ill will toward the man. He did what I would have done.
What do you mean by that, Deputy Looney?
I mean, I don't blame him for what he did. Those boys raped his little girl.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness's opinion on this matter is irrelevant.
Your Honor, I believe Deputy Looney has earned the right to speak here today.
He distinguishes intent from outcome, accident from desire. He understands because he has a daughter too. When he breaks and says, "Turn him loose," it's not disorder, it's humanity refusing to stay compartmentalized.
I got a little girl. Somebody rapes her. He's a dead dog. I'll blow him away just like Carl Lee did.
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you think the jury should convict Carl Lee Haley?
Don't answer that question, Deputy.
He's a hero. You turn him loose.
Jury will disregard.
You turn him loose!
And the system doesn't know what to do with that. There's also a quiet jail cell conversation that matters more than the verdict.
But you don't even know where I live. Our daughters, Jake, they ain't never gonna play together.
What are you talking about?
America is a war, and you on the other side. How a black man ever gonna get a fair trial with the enemy on the bench in the jury box? My life in white hands. You, Jake, that's how. You my secret weapon, 'cause you one of the bad guys. You don't mean to be, but you are. It's how you was raised.
He points out the distance, the insulation, the fact that his life rests entirely in white hands, no matter how good those hands believe themselves to be. This isn't accusation, it's clarification. Intent doesn't erase asymmetry. And then the film makes its final move. Jake stops arguing law and starts engineering identification. He asks the jury to close their eyes. He recreates the assault not for evidence, but for immersion.
Listen to yourselves. Go ahead. Close your eyes, please. story about a little girl walking home from the grocery store one sunny afternoon. I want you to picture this little girl. Suddenly a truck races up. Two men jump out and grab her. They drag her into a nearby field. And they tie her up. And they rip her clothes from her body. Now they climb on. First one, then the other. Raped, beaten, broken body. I want you to picture a little girl now imagine she's white.
And then he says it. Now imagine the girl is white. That's the key. Not proof, not testimony, not process, conversation, conversion. Justice doesn't arrive when the truth is known. It arrives when the suffering becomes recognizable, not on its own terms, but on familiar ones. The verdict is then not guilty. The response is rage. The system doesn't heal, it pauses. A corrupted officer is confronted quietly, not publicly accountable, just cornered. A child hugs her father, a barbecue happens, life resumes, not because justice triumphed, but because exhaustion demands stillness. This film doesn't prove the system works. It considers something harder. That when institutions fail early, justice arrives only through persuasion, pressure, and imagination. That fairness is not blind. It is limited by who it can't see. And sometimes even the right outcome doesn't redeem the process that produced it. A Time to Kill isn't asking whether Carl Lee was innocent. It's asking, what does justice require when safety is gone, neutrality is compromised, and empathy only activates through sameness? The answer it gives isn't comforting, but it is honest. And the honesty should make us uneasy. Not because it's extreme, but because it feels familiar.